Good afternoon, all. Welcome to today's Cancer Healing Journey Talks. Myself, Annie Jose from Community Outreach Team of ZenOnco.io and Love Wins Cancer. Cancer Healing Journey Talks helps cancer survivors and caregivers to share their journey with vast number of survivors and caregivers who have traveled or been traveling through this journey. This can inspire and motivate them for their faster recovery as well. Firstly, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Snehal Ponde. She is a breast cancer warrior and she is also a life and career coach as well. So welcome, ma'am, for today's session. Please give us more introduction about yourself.
Hi, Annie. It's great to be here. So just to introduce myself, I'm Snehal. I'm 38 years old, based out of Singapore since the last 2 years. Professionally, I have about 13 years of work experience in HR, where, when I was based out of India. And personally, I'm a mother to an 18-month-old boisterous toddler. And I'm also currently undergoing treatment for my breast cancer.
All right. So at what stage when it was diagnosed? So when you diagnosed the breast cancer?
Yeah. So Annie, so we moved to, so I'll just give you a little bit of a background. We moved to Singapore about 2 years back. This was in December 2019, just before COVID crisis hit Singapore. I was 5 months pregnant at that point of time. So we had a baby in April 2020. And, I remember at that time, breastfeeding was becoming very difficult for me because one of my breasts was always engorged. And I tried a lot of things to relieve myself. I tried heat packs, I tried massages, I tried, pumping every two hours. And, at that point of time, because Singapore was, under lockdown, I did not want to call anybody over. I did not even want to go to the hospital at that point, just to get it checked out. So I kept trying to, do things on my own. Finally, in August, I decided that, I had just had enough. So I decided to call, a lactation consultant home. And when she happened to check me, she said, that it's possibility of mastitis, which is a sort of infection that, tends to hit breastfeeding mothers. So basically, there was no lump. Even she did not realize that there was any sort of lump, and she recommended me to a doctor. So I went to her, I did an ultrasound. And when she saw the ultrasound, she just mentioned that, it doesn't look like a blocked milk duct. And so let's send a little bit of the, of that tissue for testing. Yeah. And a couple of days later, she called me and she said, why don't you bring your husband along? And, I remember my first reaction when she told me that, why don't you bring your husband along? And I remember thinking that, why did she want my husband to be there? But, I said, okay, that, fair enough. And when we went there, she said, you have cancer. And after that, of course, there was a marathon of tests, the biopsy, the MRI, post-test, we realized that I had metastatic breast cancer, where the cancer had spread to the lungs, the liver, and the bone.
All right. Okay, so what were the symptoms? And so what were the symptoms? Like you said, there were some mastitis. So did you feel any pain or anything?
Absolutely not. It was just, regular, breastfeeding that I used to do. It was just, there was no lump, that was the strange part of it. And nothing to tell me that something was wrong, except for the fact that, that my breast kept remaining engorged. And it was pretty much that, nothing else.
Okay. So what was your first reaction when you got to know about that you're diagnosed with cancer?
I think my first reaction was, I'm going to die. Especially when you're told you have stage 4, these are things that you probably see in movies and, things like that. And, the internet is also a very scary place for, reading about cancer. And, my first reaction at that time was, this is it. Like, I could not believe it, honestly. And I was numb for such a long time. And, nobody prepares you for this, especially, when, especially my family, friend circle, there's no history of cancer. I did not know anyone who had cancer. So it was extremely difficult for me to accept that, something like this was happening to me. It was almost unbelievable. And so we immediately, the good thing here that happened is, everything happened so fast. The doctor was like, you need to figure out your oncologist, you need to do, these are the tests that we need to do. You need to immediately begin treatment, obviously, knowing that it was in such advanced stages of cancer. And for a long time through, and the thing is, we were in a foreign country, right? Like in India, we would have been able to figure out the best doctors and things like that. But when, we had just moved, it was just not even a year that we had moved to a new country. So we had to start from ground zero to find the right doctors, to find the right hospital, to, and things of that. So all this took us a lot of time. And through that, you're also trying to process the fact that you have cancer.
Yeah.
So it was an extremely difficult time for me. That was my first reaction.
So how did your family took the diagnosis?
I think it took us all a long time to just accept that, this was happening. I don't think anybody could believe it. I remember telling, and the thing is, I felt I was almost clinical when I was telling my family. I remember calling my brother up. I remember calling my father up, and I was like, Dad, I have cancer, and we are starting treatment, and this is what we're doing. I was so clinical, no emotions. And I remember thinking to myself that how am I so robotic and how am I so calm about it? I think I realized later I wasn't calm. I was just in denial.
Right. So, did the doctors came across a theory that why the breast cancer happened to you? Because for some of them, they say that it can be genetic, maybe hereditary reasons. But what was the reason?
So we don't have any answer to that. They said it could possibly be related to pregnancy, since my cancer is estrogen positive. And during pregnancy, you do have a high amount of estrogen in your body. So it could be pregnancy linked, but they're not sure.
Okay. So what treatment you underwent as a part of the cancer?
So since last October, I've been in treatment, or even currently I'm under treatment. I have, so it's been very different. So the thing is, we started with this thing called as hormonal therapy, which they say for stage 4, you don't start with chemotherapy, you start with hormonal, which is tablet based, basically. So we started with that, but the cancer started increasing. We went into chemotherapy for 3 months. The cancer went down. We again switched to hormonal therapy. Again, the cancer went up. Again, we switched to chemotherapy. The cancer went up again. And now we are again in the 3rd round of chemotherapy. So I've currently undergone almost 24 sessions of chemotherapy with 3 different drugs. And I'm on currently one of the chemotherapy drugs right now.
Okay. So did you try any alternative treatment?
We've not tried anything alternative, but I am a strong believer in other healing modalities. So there is also Pranic Healing that somebody is, helping me with.
Oh, that's good. So how do you manage your emotional well-being? So you said that you were in a denial stage at one point of your life when you were diagnosed. So how do you manage right now?
So I'll tell you what happened. Okay. So, I remember for a very long time feeling completely victimized. You go through this thing, right? Why me? What did I do wrong in life?
Yeah.
Did I not eat right? Did I not exercise right? What happened? And for, especially after that, when chemotherapy started, my entire, my hair started falling, no eyebrows, no eyelashes. I started looking bloated. You look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself. And that's like the worst thing that can happen to you. You start wondering, who is this person who's looking back at me? And I remember having all these fears. I had literally stopped going out. I was like, people will pity me. People will be scared looking at me. What will people think of me? There was just so many things going on in my head. And, that was the time that one of my best friend is also a counselor. She's an adult and child counselor. And she just happened to reach out to me. And she asked me that, let's talk. And I remember telling her that, I'm fine. I don't need counseling. I don't need therapy. And she's like, no, I'm not talking about therapy. I'm just saying, let's talk. And she kept pushing. And I'm just so glad that she pushed, because it helped me deal with the situation in a very healthy way. And I think the first thing that she helped me do was accept, just accept the fact that I had cancer. And I think that was one of my biggest victories for me, to just, to be able to deal with that I am not a victim, to move from a victim to a victor sort of mindset. It's a long journey, but, I no longer feel that I'm a victim in this entire thing. And when you speak about, what keeps me happy, a lot of people say it's a mind game. Cancer is a mind game. So how you look at it mentally and emotionally is equally or sometimes more important than what's happening to your body. So she helped me actually deal with all my fears. She got me actually, blogging, because she asked me, what do you like to do in your free time? What do you enjoy? And I remember telling her I like writing. So she said, why don't you start? And that was, I think, I remember telling my husband that, she was talking about me starting to blog. And he immediately went and created this entire blog site for me. And he's like, why don't you start? So, these two devils were like, sitting on my head, and they pretty much got me started blogging. So that's what keeps me happy. And I think coaching is another thing that I really enjoy. And I think it's my way of giving back. It's my way of helping other people going through their challenges. And it just fits into my entire, what I want to do, what's meaningful for me, what's important for me. So, yeah.
So do you have your family with you in Singapore as well? So how do you take care of your newborn baby as well, like along with the treatment?
Yeah, so I must say the kind of support system I have is incredible, because my mother-in-law had come to help me with my baby. So she came a month before my baby was born, and she's still been there with us. So it's been almost a year and a half that she's been with us. And I think my in-laws practically stopped their life for me. My father's still in India. My father-in-law, sorry, still in India, and my mom-in-law is with us, so that, me and my husband can focus on my treatment. And she helps us with the baby.
That's good. So how was your experience with the doctors and other medical staff?
Oh, I think it's amazing to see the kind of speed and quality that they offer. And everything, even when we were diagnosed, the speed with which things moved, in terms of treatment. And then, once they started seeing treatment is not working, immediately moving on to the next treatment, things like that. I think we've been lucky, and I really am grateful for the kind of doctors and, staff support we had. Even the nurses, like when I go for my chemotherapy, they're always so positive. They're always like, it's like a bond that you form with them, and they're always taking care of me, and they're always asking, are you fine? And it's wonderful. I think I'm very grateful for the kind of people I have there.
So what were the things that helped you and made you happy on this journey? So you said blogging did help you. So, and your friends did help you. So what other things are you grateful for?
Oh my God, I'm grateful for so many things. And I think I'm just honestly grateful, in terms of where I am, in terms of, how safe things are, in Singapore, in terms of, the way they've handled the entire COVID crisis. Because for a long time, people like me cannot get vaccinated, so even for me to be in such an environment and not be worried that, COVID, touch wood, things might happen. So the kind of environment I've been in, my husband has been like a pillar of support to me. My friends, it's insane. I almost feel that, cancer makes you realize who is important and what is important for you.
Right, yeah.
And the who is important has come out, like, I'm just so thankful for the people I have. Like, my friends are just like, sometimes they will always have their way of reaching out to me and asking me, how are you doing? What's happening? And just lifting my mood if ever, like, I'm feeling low. Of course, my in-laws, my dad, it's been an amazing, I do. And, these are the people that keep me happy. And of course, having said that, my kid, oh my God, he's like my biggest motivator to fight this battle. They say that, it's like the tigress that comes out when you're thinking of your cub. And it's almost that spirit that comes in me when I think of him, that I want to be there for everything. I want to be there for all his firsts, everything. And if I have to do anything right now to get better, and if I need to focus on myself right now, be a little more selfish and a little more kinder to myself right now, to just be able to give him the future that I envision for him, then I need to do everything right now to just get better.
So how old is he now?
He's 18 months.
That's him. So, like, can you talk a little bit about pranaya healing? I mean, you were saying some pranic healing. Sorry, pranic healing. So,
Yeah.
how does that help you?
So, pranic healing is basically currently it's a distant healing thing. It's more on the energy healing perspective that they work on. So they try to heal. There are various chakras in your body, and they try to heal the energies. And it's somewhere it also works on your emotions, because all the energy that's stored in your body is a lot of emotions also, which are like stuck in your body. Yeah. So they try to heal you and heal the chakras and open your chakras, basically. Apart from that, also they are, there's a lot of things that, they speak about in terms of forgiveness and being thankful for things. And, so it's a combination of a lot of things that they make you work on. And I think it just calms me, just makes me feel much better.
Okay. So did you make any lifestyle changes during or after the treatment?
Yeah, so currently I'm vegetarian. I've completely turned vegetarian. I'm trying to go vegan, trying to remove dairy products, but it's like a slower journey. But currently I'm vegetarian, so that's the major change that I made. Also, in terms of exercise, while I would exercise, it was not regular. So now I am extremely regular, and about my exercise. That even after chemotherapy, I will do a bit of walking, or maybe post that when I have more energy, I do cycling, I do yoga, meditation. So I do a lot of these things to just keep myself body mind alignment, sort of.
Yeah. So do you think cancer has changed you in a positive way? So what life lessons you got from your cancer journey?
So yeah, definitely. I think, firstly, I think cancer has given me a huge reality check, right? That you can't take life for granted, that it is too fragile. And, that itself, gives you like a mindset shift in terms of what is important for you. At some point of time, I remember in India, I used to work almost 14 hours a day, all weekends, things like that. And I loved it. I loved that kind of life that I had. Would I want that right now for myself or in the future? Probably not, because I want to do things which are probably a little more meaningful and important for me. See, I have like X amount of energy right now, right? I don't have the kind of energy I would have at my peak. But whatever I do with that energy or that time has to be important to me, important enough for me to put that kind of effort,
Yeah.
And, that's what cancer teaches you, that you have a chance to recreate your life, to make a version of yourself that you would otherwise probably not have thought of doing. Like it's almost like a Snehal 2.0. So if you get a chance to create a Snehal 2.0, what would you want to be? What kind of impact or what kind of difference would you want to make in life? So these are the kind of questions it has helped me think through. And that's also the reason why I took up coaching, or why I'm even having a talk, I'm having a discussion with you. It's so difficult, Annie, for me to even talk about it and put myself out there. But I think the important thing is that if I can make a difference to anyone's life by just talking about it, then my discomfort is or should be very small in terms of if I can add value to anyone's life. So I think these are some of the life lessons it has taught me.
Yeah, I think it's important, and it's always better when we talk about it rather than holding everything in our mind. Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah. And it's so difficult, right? Because initially it's so difficult to even talk about it because, sometimes you think you don't want to burden other people. At some point you think, what am I thinking? Do I, even things like asking for help, it's so difficult for us to ask for help because we think it's a sign of weakness to ask for help. So a lot of these things cancer starts teaching you, that it's okay to put yourself out there. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to ask for help.
So how did you overcome your fears of treatments or any side effects?
So I think for me, I just try to see with every treatment what's working and what's not working. For example, during this current treatment of mine, I have these cravings of eating certain types of food, but I know I can't have that sort of food because it's going to have a negative impact on my body. So then I just keep trying to observe what works with me, what doesn't work, and I take that as a lesson for my next session. I think because it's my third chemo drug, and I don't fear it anymore. I'm just waiting for it to end.
So what would be your message to cancer patients and caregivers out there?
So I think three things. The first thing is that, these three words, you have cancer, can be a very overwhelming and painful thing to undergo, to experience. But it's always good to remember that you're not alone. And there are so many of us who are going through the same thing or who have gone through the same thing. And it's okay to reach out. It's okay to ask for help. It just shows vulnerability. It shows courage. It's not a sign of weakness. And, and reaching out, it just makes you feel, it will make you feel better. I think second thing is that cancer is a mind game. And I think any healing can begin only when you start accepting that you have cancer, and in our entire race to take care of our physical health, we cannot ignore our mental and emotional well-being. So that is equally, or I think sometimes a lot more important in our journey, to be mentally strong, mentally and emotionally in a good place. And I think third thing is financials. It's a long drawn battle, and we have to figure our financials out in a much better way, once this crisis hits us.
Yeah. So when did you think that you can beat this disease, or this belief was this belief always there with you?
So I don't think there was any time that I remember. I think it's just been a journey over this 1 year's journey that I've had. I think my faith just keeps getting stronger, that I know I can beat it. And I just keep focusing on what, makes me feel happy, on the good things. Of course, I do have my days when I feel low, when I have my dark days. They don't necessarily last long. And I've also figured a way of handling these emotions a lot better by reaching out to certain people or doing certain things that, calm me down. So, yeah.
So did you join any support group? If you have joined, how did it help? And what do you think about the importance of support group in the society right now?
Oh, I think it's incredible. And I think all of us should join it. Definitely, because it's like it's like almost a family. It's a second family you get, right? And I have joined the Breast Cancer Foundation in Singapore. And the first thing they started off with helping me was this something called as a befriender service, where they are fellow cancer patients who have finished their therapy, and they're with you in this journey. So that is something that really helped me, because she was just a phone call away. If I had any questions, if I had any queries on anything, she would be available, or she'd just figure it out and let me know. Also, there are a lot of webinars, right? Support groups do a lot of these webinars which are related to your type of cancer. So for example, for my type of cancer, people talk about bone health, gut health, managing stress, things like that. So it's a lot of information which is available to you through people. And, you don't feel alone anymore. You don't feel that you've been isolated and, only you are going through the struggle. You realize that there's a community out there who can help you through anything. and who's there for you. So definitely, I think support groups are very important for our well-being.
Yeah. So us at ZenOnco.io, so we help cancer patients through their journey from diagnosis to forever. So what do you think about our work?
Yeah. So I must tell you, when I first saw the kind of work you guys do, my only thought was that you guys are all heart. I saw the story of how ZenOnco began, and it's like an emotion, Annie. It's not about you all wanted to make a difference. You all wanted to do something for the larger community. It was not about profitability and things like that. It was just an emotion, and I think that's what makes your organization so strong, and your vision and your mission of your organization so powerful. And you'll look at cancer holistically. Y'all don't look at cancers only as a medical thing, right? You'll look at the emotional well-being, you'll look at other healing modalities, you'll look at the financial support. It's like an all-round look that you'll have, that you'll provide to any sort of cancer patient. And honestly, I'm privileged to be associated with you guys in any way. It's wonderful, the kind of work you guys do.
Thank you so much, Snehal. So it will be our pleasure, to collaborate with you in any ways we can as well.
Yes, definitely.
So what do you think about the stigmas attached to cancer and the importance of awareness about cancer to the society?
Yeah, so I think there are definitely stigmas attached to cancer, and especially, with people who have never had anyone or never been exposed to someone who has been on this journey. And I wouldn't say only about cancer, it's about any sort of chronic disease. There are a lot of misconceptions that get attached to these diseases. So I think creating awareness is extremely important. Firstly, for people to safeguard themselves and their loved ones, by taking their health into their own hands. And secondly, about having greater empathy for people who are on this journey, and dealing with an illness, and, and their caregivers, just empathizing and feeling and understanding how should they deal with certain, such people. I think it's very important.
So one last question will be, if you have to sum up your journey in one sentence, what would that be?
So I think honestly, I started loving myself much more, and I learned to be kind to myself much more. I think self-care is something that we never do. We never take care of ourselves as much as we should. So I think I just learned to love myself so much more.
That's really wonderful. So thank you so much, Snehal, for your wonderful time. I mean, I'm sure this session will be really motivating people out there who have traveled or been traveling through cancer. So it was lovely having you here today with us. So once again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Annie. My pleasure.